Hey trick class, I'm going to show you how I can come up with an equation based off of 2 points on a graph for the parabola. So I know for a fact that this is going to be a parabola where the y-coordinate is what's being squared. Right? But we have to consider that we could move in the y direction up and down the vertex, typically off the origin. And then we have a 4a minus k. Alright, so x minus h, not k. We already got k. Alright, trick class, when I am doing a problem like this where I've given some points and I'm trying to come up with the equation of the parabola, the first thing I need to come up with is it y being squared or x being squared? So this one's opening left and right, so that means y is what's being squared. But had it been moving up and down, then I would just kind of switch the parentheses around, meaning the 4a would have had an x minus k beside it, and the square would have had x minus h under it. So that's always going to kind of be the basic form that we start with. Now the k and the h, that determines our vertex. So you can see here h is 0 and k is negative 6. So h minus 0 is just, x minus h. X minus 0 would just be x. So this is going to be 4ax. And then y minus k would be y minus negative 6. That would be y plus 6 squared. All right, and then you see that we are given a point, just an arbitrary point. It's not necessarily like on the lattice rectum where I can easily just figure out what a is, but it's just an x and a y, and I have an x and a y here. If I plug those numbers in, I'll be able to figure out what a is. So I'm going to plug in -1 for x and -5 for y. All right, so here I'm taking the x coordinate right there. I'm plugging in a -1 times that 4a. Then I'm taking the y coordinate -5. There's a y plus 6. I'm replacing that y with -5. That's all I'm doing here. I'm just taking that last equation, plugging in a point. All right, -5 plus 6 is 1 squared. 1 squared is just 1. 1 times 4 would be a -4a. So now I can just divide both sides by -4. And I get a is -4. So 4 times -4a. So that's going to be a 4 times -1/4 is -1. So just -x. So there's my equation, y plus 6 squared equals -x. All right, then I'll check my answer, and I can verify that it works. All right, now you can't use a calculator to graph one of these, but you could do if you solve for y, you could do a plus and minus the square root. But you could also, if you just wanted to check the graph, you could type that exactly into Desmos. If you're comfortable with Desmos, and you could see that graph, and you could see that that point is on that graph. All right, notice I have that equation now in Desmos. I'm going to make the bounds look like the bounds on this problem. So what I mean by that is the left edge is -8, the right edge is 6. So I'm going to click this little graphing tool. Those numbers are the x min and max. That's these two numbers. So -8 to +6. All right, and then if you look at the y coordinates, they're going from the bottom. That's a -6. So -7, 8, and let me just drag this down. I think it's just, -14. Just out of the frame. So I'll make my y minimum -14 and my y maximum 2. And then I'll have the same boundaries they do. All right, so there is that graph, and I can plot those points. All right, you can plot points in Desmos, so -1, -5. So there's that point, and then the other one was 0, -6. So that's a way you could check it. You can check it with Desmos, but you can't use Desmos on the final. So it's going to be very important that you can get the information, as much information from a graph as you can. It opens to the left, so y is being squared. The vertex is 0, -6, so you should be able to get that from the picture. And then figure out what a is based on just an arbitrary point that they give you that's also on the parabola.